through the PineScript code structure and just see what elements do you expect to see in PineScript indicators and strategy. So first line, as I said to you in previous videos, are usually dedicated to version. So here you can see this is version 5 of PineScript. If you will basically save this and just put 4 here, you will basically change like PineScript compiler that will work with your code, and your current code might not work with it. So next line, we have here indicator function call, and basically here you should have one of 3 function calls. So indicator strategy or library. So here we have indicator library. It has a bunch of pretty useful parameters that can basically, with these parameters, you can change the default behavior of indicator. If you want to see like more details about the function, you basically can hover over its name and you will see some details of how function works, just a small description, and also you will see all the parameters that you can pass to this function. If you want to see some detailed description of the function, you can click Ctrl and click on your function, and in a sec you will see a reference manual will be opened and you will see details for the function you clicked on. Next, you can see I have a kind of section of inputs. So I have a bunch of input function calls, and this will basically create in my strategy settings, in my indicator settings, a bunch of inputs that will allow me to change indicator behavior without changing the code. So it's quite useful to access strategy settings. You can click this gear button close to your indicator name, and this will open settings. And here you can see we have like a tab inputs. So here you can just click on different settings, and you will see that this will just change behavior of your indicator. So there is much more interesting inputs available. I have a special section for the inputs. For now, let's go on. So next here I have a bunch of functions defined by me. So idea of functions are pretty simple. If you have pieces of code you use all the time, you can create a function from it and just call the function instead of like copying and pasting this piece of code. Moreover, if you have pieces of code you use across different scripts, you can create a library from these functions, and after that you can export just this library and use these functions even without pasting code of them in your script. So also here you can see, for example, I define some variables. So you can, in PineScript, you can define quite a lot of different variables and then store there some values, and after that you can use these variables to compute other variables and so on. In PineScript you have quite a lot of different functions. So here, for example, you have like a mathematically round function. You have quite a lot of technical analysis functions. In this course we'll go through all of them. Next, here you can see that I have a bunch of plotting functions. So PineScript has a really good set of functions to plot anything you want on your chart. So you can make really fancy and nice looking indicators. So here, for example, with this I'll plot like a new line. So here, green line, you can see on the chart I plotted with this line of new function. And also you can plot really nice tables. So here's the table I plotted, and you can see you can do this with the table new function. So I create a function. After that I just basically call this table cell function and just fill it with the data. And also in then you can see here we have like alert condition function. This will trigger like a custom alert from a script. If you can basically create like a pretty complicated script and create like alerts and really complicated logic, kind of custom logic. So it's quite nice. With the strategy it's pretty much the same, so but just here we have not like indicator function call but strategy function call, and it has different parameters. Actually, strategy function has quite a lot of different parameters. You can configure how your strategy should behave by default. So here, for example, I can see that I've used default quantity as % of equity, and I define that I want to invest 50% of my equity every time. So here you can see inputs, they're a bit different. So let's open. You can see here we have like kind of numerical input. We have here like some kind of dates inputs and so on. So it looks pretty much the same. The only difference is that in a strategy script, you should have some strategy function call. You will see the strategy dot something functions, and they basically, with these functions, you let PineScript know how it should compute your strategy.